So over the past week in the NHL, there has been, a lot of signings, a lot of little trades here and there, and then obviously the big signing. And I know a lot of you guys in the comment section have been asking me, to cover a trade like this, and then obviously the Erik Karlsson signing and all the other trades and stuff. And I usually don't cover, just re-signings and little trades like this, but if that is something that you guys want to see over the offseason, make sure to let me know. Or if you would rather see it compiled into one video like I'm doing here today, you can let me know if that is what you prefer as well. But we're going to start off with the trade that sent Olimata to the Blackhawks in exchange for Dominic Cahoon and a 5th round pick. Now, I honestly like this trade for both teams, especially if Olimata can get back to playing, like he was playing 2 to 3 years ago, because then you think of having Olimata, Erik Gustafsson, and then you have Henry Jokiharju and Adam Boqvist. You have the makings of a pretty good young D-core, and that just goes along with a lot of the good young forwards that you have as well. And going back to Pittsburgh, in my opinion, you get a Swiss Army knife of a forward who can really do everything. He can kill penalties, he can play on the power play, he can play third, second line, even first line, if you want to pair him with Crosby and see if they can develop some chemistry. And you're getting a 5th round pick, so if I had to pick a winner to this trade, I think I would go with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I can see why the Chicago Blackhawks wanted to do this, and I like it for them as well a lot if Olimata can, play better than he did the last couple of seasons, because it's seeming like he kind of fell off, but hopefully, a new team, change of scenery, he can really revitalize that. So honestly, I like the trade from both sides, but I think I'll give the edge to the Penguins for now. Next up, we have the Carl Hagelin re-signing, which was a 4-year, $11 million contract, a $2.75 million annual average. And I actually like this contract a lot for both parties. I'm really happy for Carl Hagelin because he's kind of bounced around the league a little bit. Played for the Rangers to start his career, then went to the Ducks, the Penguins, the Kings, the Capitals, and now it finally looks like he has found a home over the next 4 years. And, I guess they like what they saw from him in the 20 games that he's played for them. Had 11 points, was a +7, and I definitely think he can provide some really good scoring depth for them. And it doesn't come at a heavy cost whatsoever. I think that $2.75 million average is a perfect contract for someone that brings what Carl Hagelin brings. So I honestly like this signing a lot for Carl Hagelin and for the Caps. I am going in the order of how and when these actually happened. So next up, we have Erik Karlsson re-signing with the San Jose Sharks, 8-year, $92 million contract, $11.5 million annual average. And I know a lot of people are saying this is a big risk. This is a lot of money for a guy who wasn't healthy the majority of last season. And I know it is a lot of money, but when healthy, he is arguably one of, if not, you can make a case for the best defenseman in the entire NHL. So, looking at it that aspect, I don't think it's too much of a risk. Just what puts them in a bad spot is now they really don't have a lot of money to, give to Joe Pavelski, Joe Thornton, Kevin LeBanc, Timo Meier, and those guys. It's going to be really tight, and it will really be interesting to see what they do, but I honestly like that they brought him back. I was someone who said on the channel that I really thought he was going to leave, strictly because I didn't think San Jose wanted to, shoot themselves in the foot and leave them in such a cap hell, essentially. But I guess that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to keep Erik Karlsson around. They gave up a decent amount of assets to bring him in, so I honestly like that they're, showing confidence in him and wanting him back. But that $11.5 million average is very, very steep. But, sometimes it seems like the cap is going to go up over the next couple of years. I know now there's controversy if the cap's going to go down, heading into next season. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this offseason plays out, especially, surrounding the cap and everything. And while, yes, this is a little bit of an overpayment, I will say that I probably would have liked maybe $9.5 to $10 million, but $11.5, okay, you brought him back, now let's see what he can do for you next season. So I like that they brought him back. It is a little bit steep, but I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. Next up, we have a little bit of a minor one, but I wanted to cover it. Anthony Duclair re-signs with the Senators on a 1-year, $1.65 million contract, so he gets another prove-it contract. He had one last year with Columbus. Things didn't work out there, but he played decent enough for the Ottawa Senators that they decided to bring him back. And Anthony Duclair, believe it or not, is one of my favorite players. I just loved him when he played for Team Canada in the World Juniors. I honestly thought he was going to have a really bright future for the Rangers. Then was moved to the Coyotes, and then obviously bounced around a little bit. So hopefully he can finally, find his home. I still have faith that he can be a really solid option in the top 9 of a forward crop. I think he can be a guy who can potentially score 20 goals. We're going to have to wait and see. I like the signing for the Ottawa Senators, and it really gives him an opportunity to show off his skills because he's going to get, a lot of opportunity to play, top minutes, power play minutes and stuff on a team that really doesn't have many other solid forwards. Next up, we actually have a little bit of of a minor trade. Justin Braun was sent from the Sharks to the Flyers in exchange for a 2019 second and a 2020 third round pick. So it seems like a focal point of the Flyers offseason is upgrading that blue line. They acquired Matt Niskanen. I liked that trade a lot, and now they're acquiring Justin Braun. In my opinion, this kind of just fuels to the speculation that maybe they are going to trade Shane Gostisbehere and they wanted to bring in some, depth defensemen to really fill that void, or maybe they just wanted to have, Justin Braun and Matt Niskanen maybe as their bottom pairing or maybe as their second pairing. I really like the moves that they're making because it is making their decor a lot more deep, and you didn't have to give up too much. I mean, Justin Braun had a 16-point season last year. The year before that had 33 points though, so he has the potential and capability to be a 30-point defenseman, and you only had to give up a second and a third. And in my opinion, San Jose getting a second and a third and unloading some money as well, I think that's a win in their books. I mean, they don't really need Justin Braun. He says $3.8 million cap hit through next season, then will become an unrestricted free agent. So, seemingly a one-year rental for the Philadelphia Flyers, but not giving up too much to get it. I like this move a lot for both teams. Next up, we have a little bit of a minor signing. Brayden Coburn re-signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning 2 years, total of $3.4 mil, $1.7 million average. I like this. He's a bottom pairing defenseman, but in my opinion, that is a role that he really thrives in. Last season, played in 74 games, actually had 23 points, so a little bit of a good offensive year from Brayden Coburn, and was a +4, and just having him back there for depth reasons, and if one of the bigger name defensemen gets hurt, he can step up and fill that role nicely in my opinion. So it isn't the biggest move out there, but definitely a move that I do like from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it kind of seems like they're trying to bring back that same core and maybe try to run it back and have a different fate in the playoffs. So bringing Brayden Coburn back, maybe not a move that everyone's going to talk about, but it's a move that I think is smart by Tampa Bay, and we're gonna have to see how he plays once again next season. Next up, we have the Kevin Hayes signing. I have a lot to say about this. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter if you have not already. Links down in the description. But last night I tweeted, Kevin Hayes has never had a 50-point season and is going to be getting paid $7 mil until he's 34. I mean, I think he's a good player, but that is a lot of money. I was wrong there. He actually did have a 50-point season this past year, but I was looking at not his stats combined from the Rangers and the Jets. I think I was just looking at the Rangers, but that's my bad there. But still, he hasn't even had a 60-point season, and last year was his career high in just 50-something points. And $7.143 million for a guy like that, I mean, that is crazy. That is a lot of money. Like, I think of that like Dylan Larkin, who just had like a 70-something point season and is a lot younger, and it's good defensively as well. I mean, he's only like $6 mil. Like, I just don't understand what some teams are doing. I guess Kevin Hayes demanded a lot of money, and Philadelphia wanted to get the signing done because they did end up trading for a guy who is an unrestricted free agent, and they would have looked pretty dumb if they gave up that 5th, I believe, round pick that it was that they traded for him, and then Kevin Hayes would sign with another team. But honestly, I don't think that would have been too bad of an option if he demanded this much money, but I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a good fit for them, but man, it is really going to be tough thinking about that, and maybe when he's 34, in my opinion, that could potentially be one of the worst contracts in the entire league. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Maybe next season he can have a breakout year and, become a 65 to 70 point scorer. We're going to have to wait and see, but in my opinion right now, that is a lot of money for a guy who hasn't really proven himself as like a number 1 or 2 scoring option just yet. And now finishing off the video with something that literally just came out before I started recording, so I decided to throw it in last minute, but the Anaheim Ducks have bought out Corey Perry's contract. He's now going to be an unrestricted free agent, and I'm happy for Corey Perry. I hope he can go somewhere where he gets a chance to play in a prominent role and gets a chance to compete for the playoffs and maybe compete for a Stanley Cup. But I honestly didn't see this coming this soon. I mean, in the 2017-18 season, he was still 49 points in 71 games. He was a 30-goal scorer in 2015, but it's just been a steady decline since then. Couldn't stay healthy last season, played in just 31 games, had 10 points, was a -16 in those 31 games, so just not the greatest end to his career with the Anaheim Ducks. But it kind of seems like the end of an era in a way. I mean, Ryan Getzlaf is still there, but it just seems like those days of the Ducks dominating with Ryan Kessler, Getzlaf, and Perry and those guys are over, but Corey Perry hopefully can get picked up for a pretty decent contract by a team that needs a little bit of a spark in the offense. I'm looking at you, Ken Holland, and the Edmonton Oilers. Get Corey Perry on your team right now. I think Connor McDavid can get him up to maybe around a 25 to 30 goal score for at least 1 or 2 more years. I know he's a little bit slower and maybe won't be able to keep up with McDavid, but at one point he was one of the best goal scorers in the league, former Hart Trophy and Rocket Richard Trophy winner, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Corey Perry. I'm happy for him, but it just seems so weird that he's going to be on another team next season. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and like I said at the the start. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section if you want me to cover all of this, type of news, signings like this, little trades here and there, right when they come out, or do you want me to wait, after until some of it builds up and make it all into one video like I did here in today's video. I'm pretty excited for the draft coming up on Friday. I hope you guys are as well. Have a lot of videos planned for the up and coming week. So with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.